Hola a todos, soy Agustina y bienvenidos a la celebración del lanzamiento en español de la Ayn Rand University app. And for those of you who don't speak Spanish, hello and welcome to the Ayn Rand University Spanish app launch celebration. This event features simultaneous translation to Spanish, so I'm going to give the instructions to our Spanish-speaking audience on how to activate it. Para todos aquellos que hablen español y quieran escuchar la traducción simultánea al español que tenemos disponible hoy gracias a nuestra intérprete Mini, tienen que ir a la barra inferior de Zoom, hacer clic en el icono del globo terráqueo y hacer clic en español. Y ahí automáticamente van a empezar a escuchar a nuestra intérprete que nos va a acompañar a lo largo de todo el evento. Okay, so I would like to kick this off by introducing myself a little bit. Like I said, I'm Agustina and I'm a research associate here at ARI. And I was born and raised in Argentina, in Latin America. And I only moved to the United States only 3 years ago. And when I found Ayn Rand a bit over 10 years ago, it was kind of like by chance. And I was fortunate, to find her work. And especially fortunate because I understood English well enough to read her books and other material, in English. But most people in Latin America don't have such resources, and only a handful of Rand's books are translated to Spanish. And, there are more coming next year, right? But it's been a long time where only just the core works and the core novels were translated. And while there are, websites and sites with a ton of useful resources for objectivism in Spanish, it still remains, an untapped market. And that is a market with a huge need for Rand's ideas. And if you live in Latin America, you know it and you experience it every day. But if you don't live there, you've probably heard it, that Latin America is a deeply collectivistic region where socialism dominates and has sent the region, in a downward spiral of poverty. And altruism, which is, the basis of collectivism, dominates people's moral code. And the only alternatives that people in Latin America are presented with are either, socialism or conservatism. There's no other choice. And, both of them are a false alternative, and both of them are forms of collectivism in the end. But I've seen it with my own eyes that many people are starting to realize that this is in fact a false alternative, and there has to be something better, and there is something better, and the better alternative that we're presenting is objectivism, and that's what we at ARI are bringing to Latin America and all Spanish-speaking regions. We're breaking all the barriers to accessing the best objectivist content in the world by getting rid of the biggest obstacle, which is the language barrier. And we're also doing way more than this. And that is some of what Tal Tsfany, our CEO, and Maria Marty will talk about today when they join me in a few minutes. So the translation of the Ayn Rand University app to Spanish is a huge milestone in the spread of objectivism in Spanish-speaking countries. That's what we want to celebrate, and we're really excited about it. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Tal Tsfany, our CEO, to talk a little bit more about what the Institute is doing in Latin America. Welcome, Tal. Thank you for joining me.
Agustina, how are you?
Good. Very excited. Very excited about the app.
Yes, me too. It's a culmination of months and months of work and a vision we had very early on to say when we're designing something, we need to design it for as many people as possible. So this is a great milestone for us, and like you said, it's a critical one.
Yes, absolutely, because also we have, the primary sources, which are, Ayn Rand's courses that are being translated to Spanish, and they can't be accessible to the Spanish audience in any other way. But we also have like secondary sources, like the courses from our intellectuals, which are the people that are most knowledgeable about objectivism in the entire world. And there's nowhere else where you can find that. So it's incredibly exciting to be able to do it in Spanish.
I agree. So what's interesting is that at least since I joined, which was 2.5 years ago, we've seen exponential growth and interest from Latin America and Spanish-speaking countries. And I think the manifestation of that was the establishment of Maria's organization, the Ayn Rand Center in Latin America, and the success we've seen since as far as the consumption of content. The fact that, in a conference, we had nearly 100 people just from Latin America joining for a full conference, interested in the ideas, and the level of energy and interest that we saw in Argentina and other countries when we did our Latin America tour last year. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, we were not able to travel, but hopefully next year it's going to be bigger than before. I think what's going on is that a lot of people are waking up to the ideas. When the pressure is mounting, smart people are looking for alternatives. It's like what the left has to offer is destructive. What the right has to offer is old and incorrect. And so what is there? So a lot of people fall into all kinds of new age philosophies. I got a lot of friends in the Silicon Valley who's like, we'll go and research Stoicism. But as you said, Objectivism is a unique philosophy that is there for I would say for the people who are intellectual enough to understand what it has to offer, that have the integrity and the seriousness about ideas, making sure that it's all making sense. And so, with that, I think we're seeing a seed of interest that is bubbling up in Latin America. And I'm so happy to see it. I want to say one more thing is that the mobile app and everything we're doing to translate all of our content is a reflection of a strategy to make sure that we're reducing all of the friction as much as possible between an intellectual mind and the content. So we moved, I don't know if people know, but 2 years ago, all this content was behind a paywall. You had to pay for it. And we took a risk in a way and said, okay, we're going to put everything out for free, and we're going to move to a model that will help us keep it free, like a Wikipedia. And the response was overwhelming, where we got 10 times more money than what we got from the revenue of selling the content. All of the graphs of the consumption of this content are going exponentially high. And I think the release of this app in Spanish is going to contribute to the growth of the content consumption. So I'm super excited. It's opening Objectivism, opening a door for hundreds of millions of potential people who can engage with it.
Yes, exactly. I agree. And because Rand is not as popular now, she's becoming popular thanks to her work and the work of the Ayn Rand Center in Latin America. But it remains this untapped market that is looking for this, for a better alternative, and the absolute best alternative is Objectivism. But we've also been doing more than just the app, which the app is like a huge milestone as well. But we have done, other things, like we have translated some of our podcasts, the New Ideal podcast, to Spanish since September that we started translating. We have translated 3 of them with a lot of people attend when we have those people from Latin America attend when we have those translations going on. And our intellectuals have been doing a lot of work along with the Ayn Rand Center Latin America to reach that audience, giving talks, and participating in activities with the Ayn Rand Center. And I think that's very exciting as well. And
one more thing I would say, the growing number of our most advanced program, the Objectivist Academic Center, is seeing more people outside the USA than ever before, including many people from Latin America. And I wish there were many, many more, meaning we now have the capacity with our growth to accept even more people than ever before to this unbelievable, life-changing program that if you'll give me a spare moment, I will continue to promote that program, because I'm a year 3 student in it, and I think it's almost a must to any intellectual mind who wants to become just a more effective thinker and writer, and someone who wants to express ideas. So hopefully we will see a huge chunk of our students coming from Latin America in the coming years, which I think will happen, by the way, because it's a natural, if you will, conversion between getting exposed to ideas. Some of the people get it, some of the people don't. From the people who get it, some of the people are really serious about it. From the people who are really serious about it, some of them really want to make an intellectual career, and they found themselves in a program like the Objectivist Academic Center, OAC, that we offer.
Yes, the OAC is, I'm a graduate and I can't speak highly enough of it. If anyone's interested, send us an email. We'll give you more information. And I have myself seen the growth from people from Latin America, like more applications and more students being admitted from Latin America. And I find that to be very, very exciting. So, okay, thank you so much, Tal. I'll bring you back for the Q&A at the end. But now we're gonna talk to Maria Marty, who is the CEO of the Ayn Rand Center Latin America. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Agustina.
Thanks for joining us.
Very happy to be here for this luncheon of the Ayn Rand University in Spanish. So happy about it.
Very happy to have you. So can you tell us a little bit, for those who don't know, a little bit about the Ayn Rand Center Latin America, you know, the purpose behind the organization, when you got it started, and the partnership with ARI?
Well, it started as a very young organization. We started in February 2019. So we almost have 2 years now, but not still. As you mentioned before, and it's perfectly clear, Argentina and Latin America, the reality that we have here is we have a very strong religious tradition and a strong education in what is the Franco-German philosophy. That both are perpetuated by families and by schools and universities. Let's have in mind that all the contents in universities and schools are dictated by the state. So altruism and collectivism, as you said, are part of the Latin American sense of life, completely different from what is the American sense of life. And until now, no one has seriously questioned these concepts. So, and at the same time, you see that we suffer permanent political and economical crisis, and we blame the politician or the economist on duty, but then we vote again the same kind of ideas that led us to the previous crisis, without identifying the real cause. So few Latin Americans have realized that is our philosophical ideas what we need to check, that politics and economics is just the consequence or the tip of the iceberg. So I think the good thing is Latin Americans intellectuals are starting to notice that economic arguments and evidence are not enough, that we have to go for moral arguments, for philosophical arguments. And I think what we are trying to do with the Ayn Rand Center Latin America is to be there to provide those arguments. I think no one as only Ayn Rand is really the great intellectual that can provide the arguments that we need to start fighting socialism in Latin America. So we need a completely change of ideas. The idea that my life belongs to me, that we don't need to repeat blindly what we were being taught, but to think by ourselves, and that we are capable of and worthy of making a flourishing life. So that's why we are here. We did many things. Now we we organized a great tour in Latin America in 2019. Mm-hmm. We have been in Argentina, in Brazil. We went also to Paraguay, to Chile, to Mexico and Guatemala. This year has been a little bit weird, but we had webinars almost every week. And we had also Instagram Live with good intellectuals telling their story with Ayn Rand and how Ayn Rand influenced their lives. So I think that was a very good thing, not only to talk about philosophy, but how made an impact in your own life. And we have a lot of plans for next year. So this news that you're bringing, that they have the possibility to have these courses in Spanish, I think it will open a huge door for us, a huge possibility. So I really am very happy to collaborate with Ayn Rand Institute and to work together in this and keep promoting together the ideas of Ayn Rand in the region.
Yes, we're happy to be doing this with you too. I have personally participated in many of the events from earlier this year, and I can sense, I can see the excitement of the people to hear, these ideas. Most of them are newer to the ideas, or just discovering them. But I see a lot of curiosity, a lot of questions, a lot of engagement, and I think that's very exciting. And well, I left Argentina a bit over 3 years ago. But of course, I've been in touch, and I have gone back. But you're still there. You still live there. And what do you see? What are you observing as someone that's like on the ground in Latin America about the growth of the objectivist movement?
I think it's we don't have numbers. What I can see is how much people are starting to follow us in Facebook, Instagram Live, and Instagram and our YouTube channel. So something that we will not be able to expect this like 5 years ago. And Rand's books we have an issue with the Rand's book because we have the novels most of them are translated, but still we cannot get the books in the whole libraries. There's a lot of people in different countries saying, Maria, I want to read Atlas Shrugged and I want to read The Fountainhead, but I cannot get the book. And even if they can get it, it's the price for Latin American standards a little bit high. Mm-hmm. But you see there's a lot of curiosity. The webinars have more impact and more people. I have contacts from, I would say, I don't know if all of the countries of Latin America, but almost all of the countries trying to organize an Ayn Rand Con in their countries next year. So I said, okay, maybe we will not be able to we would be able to be in all the countries next year, but you see there is a big interest.
Yes.
And you see it on Facebook when you start talking. 5 years ago, you said something about Ayn Rand, and he said, "And who is Ayn Rand?" But now everybody knows who is Ayn Rand, and I think that's the first step, right? To create curiosity and to start to provide answers about her, so people don't misunderstand her ideas. So I think that's very important for the Ayn Rand Center to be there, to give a real, how would you say, to teach her ideas in a proper way. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And that, I think the Ayn Rand University app, now that we have it in Spanish, is going to play a huge role in doing that, in my opinion.
Well, I would say, you know that in Latin America, we don't have many intellectuals prepared to teach objectivism in Spanish. So we are working on that, but it will take some time. As you know, it takes years to study objectivism. But at the same time, we have this curiosity. So the thing that we have this opportunity now to have the Ayn Rand Institute courses in Spanish, that it's amazing, because now we don't have only, our market is not only the Latin Americans that understand English, but it's the 480 million native speakers. So it's a completely new market for us now.
Yes, there's a lot of potential, and this is truly very exciting and worth celebrating, which is what we're doing here today. All right, Maria, thank you. And I will bring you back for the Q&A at the end of the event. So please hang on. Okay, so now I would like to talk to Keith Lockitch, who is the President of Educational Programs here at ARI. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Agustina. How are you?
Good. Very, very excited to be doing this and celebrating the launch of the app in Spanish. This has a special significance for me. So can you tell us a little bit more about the app itself and, the courses that are translated and
so I get the fun job of actually taking people on a tour of the app. I'm going to do a screen share from my iPhone in just a minute. Before I do that, I wanted to tell people a bit about what we have on the app. So let's talk about a little bit about the content that's on the app and also on the associated websites. All the content that's on the app is also available on the website, campus.aynrand.org. And it's the same content. You can use the same login. We're featuring the app though, because it's so convenient to consume this content, on your mobile device, on the app. It's really beautiful. So we have almost 60 courses available on the app covering all kinds of topics related to objectivism. We have content from Ayn Rand herself. We have lots and lots of interviews that she gave. we have many of her most important lectures. So talks that she gave that she then turned into essays that are some of her seminal essays, where she's taking her philosophy and she's sort of expanding on it and explaining it in a nonfiction format to people. So some of her most important talks are available on the app. We have all the major courses taught by Leonard Peikoff, who's the leading objectivist philosopher and teacher of objectivism in the world today. I think if you're someone who's really serious about trying to understand this philosophy, Leonard Peikoff's courses are absolutely essential. And you know that, I know you've gone through those courses. We also have courses on Ayn Rand's novels, courses on various aspects of her life and different aspects of her ideas, taught by a whole bunch of people associated with the Ayn Rand Institute, including myself. I have a couple of courses on the app, so make sure you check those out as well. Yeah, so if you're interested in learning more about Ayn Rand's ideas, the way I would put it is that this app is a must-have. There's just so much valuable content on here, and if you're excited by Ayn Rand's novels, or you're just intrigued by her ideas, you get onto the app, you'll be amazed at the content that's available there. So yeah, so let me just say, only about a third of the courses that are available on the app have been translated have Spanish subtitles. So not all the content that's available on the app is available yet in Spanish, but this is something we're continually working on, and we're going to keep rolling out Spanish subtitles, until all the courses are done. So right now, only around 20 of the courses have the Spanish subtitles.
That's plenty, though. That's a lot of great content that is unavailable elsewhere in Spanish. Yeah.
And I'll mention, so for people who are fairly new to Objectivism, as we go through the demo, I'll mention some of the courses that I would recommend starting with. So why don't I, is it okay if I go ahead and start the demo now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to share my iPhone screen here, optimized for video. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. So there's my folder with some Slack messages and the app itself. So I'm going to click on that. So this is what you see when you open up the app. Now, when you log in for the very first time, you'll be taken to a kind of start here page. Since I'm already a user of the app, I immediately default to the courses page. So what you're looking at is, what the app looks like. If I scroll down, you can see all the different things that are available there, beginner courses, new courses, that sort of thing, okay? So this is what it looks like when you log in. Now, the first thing I want to do, because we're demoing this app for our Spanish-speaking audience, the first thing I want to do is show you how to change your default language to Spanish. So if you look, I think everyone can see my cursor. If you look over here at the little hamburger menu, if you click on that, you get course settings and so on. And then if you go down here, there's a settings menu, which you can click on. Okay, and then there's different app settings, various things that you can adjust. And one of them is language preferences. So I'm going to click here. So I'm actually not clicking with my cursor. I'm doing it on my phone here, obviously. So I'm going to click Spanish, and then they're asking me, am I sure I want to change it? Yes, I am. So there it is, as you can see. So everything here is now in Spanish. So everything that was there before is all here in translation. Okay. And, if you look at the, if I go to the menu, all the menu options are in Spanish. And you can see, various courses that we have available. Now, I just want to point one thing out here. Now, so all of the course titles and descriptions have been translated into Spanish. So that's been done for all 60 of the courses, the titles and descriptions, sort of the meta information here. Here's my, this is my course on the fountainhead here. So if we, so you see the course description is here in Spanish. all the course information. There's my bio there. Now, but the Spanish subtitles in the videos themselves, again, I just want to reiterate, the Spanish subtitles are only available for about 20 of the courses so far. So for instance, if I were to start this course on the Fountainhead, you would not be able to see the subtitles for this course because they haven't been done yet. But why don't we go to one for which the subtitles have been done. Let's look at the Introduction to Objectivism. This is just a 9-minute video by Ayn Rand, where she's sort of summarizing the essentials of her philosophy in a very short video. So if we click into that, we can start the course. Okay. Now the way to get to the subtitles, I'm just going to pause it. So the way to get to the subtitles is if we go to this little mini hamburger menu up top here, and then you select subtitles. I don't speak Spanish, but that comes through pretty clearly. And then I think Espanol is the one that I want. So now if I click it, now we can see the subtitles. And of course, if you're watching this on a mobile device and you want to watch it full screen, you can do that as well. And then you can get the...
At a sales conference at Random House, preceding the publication of Atlas Shrugged, one of the book salesmen asked me whether I could present the essence of my philosophy while standing on one foot.
So that's what she's doing in this video. She's giving the standing on one foot version of the philosophy of objectivism. So that's how you turn on the subtitles. Now I'm actually going to go out here and I'm going to change it back to English so that I can actually know what I'm doing. And I wanted to just say a little bit about if you're just getting started on the app, some of the best courses to start with that I would recommend. I'm just going to mention a couple here. There's, as I said, there's 20 courses that are available with Spanish subtitles. I'm not going to mention all of them, but a few that are really worth starting with if you're new to objectivism or new to watching these, certainly watching these in Spanish. This Introducing Objectivism course is, as I said, it's this 9-minute video of Ayn Rand just sort of summarizing her philosophy, and that's a really clear introduction. This Introduction to Objectivism by Leonard Peikoff. Actually, I'm going to go to here. This is this lists some of the best content to start with. If you go to start here, Introducing Objectivism, as I said, is a good one to start with. Philosophy Who Needs It by Ayn Rand. So that is a talk that she gave to the graduating class at the Military Academy at West Point in the United States. And it's a talk about not objectivism in particular, but why do people need philosophy at all? So that's a really good introduction to Ayn Rand's view of why we even need philosophy and why it's important. This talk by this course by Leonard Peikoff, it's about an hour and 18 minutes here. And so it's a slightly more in-depth introduction to the philosophy, but it's a super clear overview of the philosophy as well. So that I think is an essential one to go to. We also have this talk, What is Capitalism? So this is one of Ayn Rand's really seminal talks where she gives an overview of her political philosophy and the moral foundations, the moral and deeper philosophical foundations of her view of capitalism. So that is also an essential one to start with. I would say for a longer overview that really covers the whole philosophy, we have this really beautiful course that we just created recently. So it's called Exploring Objectivism, the Philosophy of Ayn Rand. It's hosted by Gloria Alvarez and Mary Binswanger, who's a philosopher and was somebody who knew Ayn Rand personally and studied with her. And it also features Onkar Ghate, who's the chief philosophy officer at ARI. And Onkar and Harry are two of the world's leading experts on Ayn Rand's philosophy, deeply knowledgeable about what objectivism is and how to apply it in your life And this course with Gloria is a beautiful overview. I think there was eight lessons or so, 8 or 9 lessons. I don't remember exactly, but it's a really beautiful overview of the whole philosophy. So that's where I would start. As you can see, the app is very well designed. It's very user-friendly. It's easy to navigate around. And, it's easy to figure out how to turn the Spanish on, how to get to the translations. And so go ahead and download it, create a login, and have fun using it. I hope you, if you're right at the start of your journey exploring objectivism, I wish you all the best and have fun with it.
Yeah, I think people will. I mean, I remember when I first discovered ARI Campus like a few years ago, and I thought, oh my God, this is absolute gold. And my excitement back then was like, I could not contain it. And I just listened to everything that I could. I think it was 2015 or like an early version of Campus. And then the app came out a couple of years ago. And that was super exciting as well, because we kept adding more and more courses. And then, with the app, you can take it everywhere. You don't have to be on your computer. So this is gold to me. And I think our audience in Latin America will think the same. There's no barriers now to accessing this content. There's no excuse, to not, study Ayn Rand's ideas.
Yeah, and so when we first introduced the app, I think we were getting download information not long after it launched. There was some data about where in the world, you can identify from the App Store by country of download. And I think for a long time, almost every single country on the planet had downloaded the app except for 2. And the 2 were the Vatican and North Korea. And then at some point in the process, I guess somebody at the Vatican must have downloaded the app. So the only country in the world where it hasn't been downloaded is North Korea. And that's probably because they're not, allowed to be on the internet or something like that. So so this is being used worldwide. And the fact that we're now starting to gradually introduce language translation is just huge. It's going to be make a huge difference in terms of people around the world being able to study Ayn Rand's philosophy and really study it deeply.
I agree. This is a huge milestone, and we have Spanish now. As we keep adding more languages, Ayn Rand's going to be everywhere, and with the best quality content available in the entire world, which is the content that we're producing and that Rand herself produced. Okay, so I would like to stay with me, Keith. I would like to bring back Tal and Maria. There you are. Okay. Wanted to do a little bit of a Q&A. So if anyone in the audience has questions about the app or IRIs or the Ayn Rand Center's Latin America activities in Latin America, please feel free to ask. Any other type of questions, like philosophical questions and things like that, please save those for our weekly podcast sessions on Wednesdays, where we answer all the philosophical questions. So I have a question for you, Tom. So the translation of the app, like I've said, is like a huge step towards spreading objectivism in Spanish-speaking countries. But what are some other plans that the Institute has for the Latin American region? And can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, as I said, we're seeing a massive growth in the consumption of the content from those regions. Luckily, no North Koreas in Latin America. And so what I think will happen is that we will continue to spirally grow, together with Maria's help, the community of people who are automatically attracted to the annual event that we're going to put together every year. As far as I'm concerned, if they'll let us come, we will come to Buenos Aires and to Mexico. We're planning to be, of course, in Brazil, as we were last year, and hopefully to more countries. I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not to say, Maria. I will err on not saying, because I usually blurt out too much information. But other countries where we will be hosting maybe not 3-day events, but half-a-day event or other meaningful events to bring Ayn Rand's ideas to newcomers. So those events are designed for newcomers who have a lot of questions. And what I love about those conferences, the Ayn Rand conferences, that you get to ask questions and you see people engaging and voicing their disagreements or just thoughts about what does it mean for me, for my life, and what are the implications of that. Because Rand's ideas are radical. So not only we're sending the content through the app and YouTube and other channels, but also we will be coming every year to Latin America and to bring the best philosophers, the best experts on Rand's ideas as close as possible, because I know that when I got exposed to those ideas, the ability to interact with intellectuals who know much more than I did, and ask questions and disagree about things, and then go back home and think and really think deeply about where the disagreement is, just to find out that usually I was wrong, and really allow for people. I go back to my point about reducing friction, to allow for people who are interested and motivated to go through the process of what we call awareness that she exists, to understanding, and to all the way to agreement. And so, and maybe one day to what we call commitment, which is we're seeing more and more people from Latin America and outside the United States contributing to the Institute and helping financially to fund all of those things. So generous donors are the people who make the Ayn Rand conference in Argentina and Brazil and other places possible. So we got a lot in store. We're working on multiple additional projects that will benefit everyone, including people in Latin America, more about Ayn Rand, more about her life, more about the treasure trove that we call the Ayn Rand archives is going to be more exposed. And we are going to try to do our best to ship as many books as possible to anyone who is interested in Rand's ideas. We're working on a program that will allow every student to ask for an Ayn Rand novel or a nonfiction book. So even money is not going to be a problem. So that's in a nutshell everything we have in store.
We are literally breaking every barrier possible to make this content accessible for everyone, to everyone. So Maria, on your end, what's coming in the future with the Ayn Rand Center Latin America? And if you can tell us a bit more about the things that Tal didn't want to talk about, maybe. I don't know if you can say, but...
Maybe I can say something. Yes. Well, we are planning another tour for Latin America for November 2021. So what we have right now for sure is a conference in Buenos Aires, a conference in Porto Alegre and Sao Paulo, so 2 places in Brazil. We are planning also have smaller conferences, but kind of sure, in Montevideo and Santiago de Chile too. And we are planning the end of the tour in Mexico. And this is a good news. We are working with the UFM, Universidad Francisco Marroquín in Guatemala, to have an Ayn Rand Con just right after the Mont Pelerin Society conference. So we hope to bring a lot of intellectuals to Ayn Rand Con after Mont Pelerin Society. I think that would be a great, and you know that UFM is one of the most for freedom universities in Latin America. So to be able to be there, I think it would be amazing. And at the same time, we are trying to develop our own courses. We want to do a course that is, it will be called Navigating Objectivism, like an introduction to objectivism for people in Latin America. And so to have these courses in Ayn Rand University translated into Spanish will help us a lot as a base for our own live courses. So this is our news. We will continue with the webinars. And now you know that with the webinars, we have also simultaneous translations, thanks to Mini, who is right now translated this webinar. So yes, we're trying to do our best to make Ayn Rand ideas available to all Latin American community too. So I think we're doing a good job from ARI side and from Ayn Rand Center place too. So thank you for your support.
That is very exciting, and we actually got a question in the Q&A about any plans to have something like a 1-year version of the OAC in Spanish in the near future, which is, I'm not sure if we could call it like an OAC level course, but Maria, you have this intro to Objectivism course plan, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be an OAC. It's not going to be part of the OAC, but what we want to do is to start creating content that we know that for doing an OAC, you need to know more about Ayn Rand. You need not to be an expert, but you need to have a lot of knowledge. So the idea is to start providing from this. Ayn Rand Center is new. For Latin Americans, Objectivism is something new. To start creating more introductory content, and with the help of the introductory courses that we have in Ayn Rand University. So we can prepare people to be able to go to OAC in the following years.
That's great. I think we will start seeing the results of that. For Keith, what other courses can we expect to be translated in the near future, if you can say? Any particular one that you would be excited about? And also, if you can say what other languages besides Spanish are coming to the app?
Yeah, so we don't have a final decision on what the exact next course is going to be, but definitely more content from Ayn Rand. I mentioned some of her talks that she gave that became some of her seminal articles. That's something we definitely want to prioritize, to make those available with the subtitles in translations, so people can have access to that material, because some of it just isn't even available in translation in the book form. And definitely courses, more of Leonard Peikoff's courses, because as I said, that's absolutely must watch content for somebody who's really serious about studying Objectivism. Languages, I'll let Tal answer that, because he's the one who's driving all that sort of thing. But we got a question about there's something called the Ayn Rand lexicon, which is available on the app, and it's basically like a mini encyclopedia. If you look up certain concepts or words, and Ayn Rand had something to say about it, you can look it up and see a couple paragraphs, a couple quotations, excerpts from her writings about those concepts. And the question is that going to be translated as well on the app? Now, the foreign language rights for excerpts from writing is very complicated. So I don't think they're right now, they're not available in Spanish yet. And it's a process that we could go through if we wanted to work on that. But it involves more than just doing the translation. It involves securing rights and permissions to offer it in translation. So that's a project that we could embark on if we depending on how it prioritizes compared to other projects that we would do. And Tal, did you want to talk about?
I would just motivate everyone to consume as much content as possible, because if we see that it's such a huge success, then it'll be a reason to invest in more. As you said, it's mostly about rights. It's not the challenge of translating the lexicon. It's the rights that have to do with the lexicon. And as was said, everything is work in progress. So we're prioritizing a lot of projects. If we'll see there's a lot of demand, if people on this call or watching on Facebook want to send us their requests of what they think we should do next, we'll be happy to hear.
Yes, that sounds good. And we have one last question here about essay contest in Spanish. And Maria, you had the Ayn Rand Center Latin America organized an essay contest in Spanish last year, and I was one of the judges, and I was very impressed with the level, that some of these people had, and some of them actually went on to be OAC students. So can you tell us a little bit more about the essay contest in Spanish?
We had one last year, yes, on Anthem, and we also had a video contest on Atlas Shrugged, I think 2 months ago. So they had a lot of success, and we are planning to do an essay contest again, or maybe an essay contest and a video contest on the Fountainhead, in Manantial. So for people who's listening here, start reading or rereading the Fountainhead, because The idea is we will have like 3 categories for students for liberty. It will have his own category because there's a lot of people, students for liberty, trying to get into Ayn Rand's ideas, and to different ages, so like young people and young students and young adults. So be prepared for that. It would be.
And if you're interested in the Fountainhead, so it turns out I was mistaken. My course on the Fountainhead is available with Spanish subtitles. I was corrected during the broadcast here, so so you can definitely check that out.
Okay, but yes, you cannot write what the course says, so you have to create your own content.
But you can learn deeply about the novel by taking the course.
If you want to win the contest, you have to watch it.
For sure. I mean, the content in that course is one of the first ones I watched years ago, and it really took the novel to a whole other level for me, at least. So, all right. So thank you, Maria. Thank you, Tal. Thank you, Keith, for joining me today in this celebration. I am so excited about this, and I'm sure we will start seeing more and more people downloading the app in Latin America. And this is, like I said, a huge milestone, and thanks for joining the celebration.
Thank you for hosting this, Agustina, and thanks for pushing us to do more and more in the Latin America. Thank you, Maria, for everything you're doing in the Latin America Center, and hopefully we'll continue to have many more milestones in the process of propagating those ideas to everyone.
And we will keep pushing, Tal, Maria and I, to do more and more stuff. So a lot is coming.
I have one news too, that we haven't been invited for a group in Venezuela to go to spread Ayn Rand ideas. So I will tell you more when it's a sure thing, but be prepared.
Do you want me to travel to Venezuela now? That's okay.
Do you want?
Okay, we'll have to talk about the details.
Okay, sure.
But I think they need Ayn Rand there more than almost anywhere else in the world.
Yes,
I agree. So thank you, Agustina. It was a pleasure, and thank you to support Ayn Rand Center as much as you do. So it's
of course. Thank you, everyone. And before we end, I would like to share my screen once again. I would like the audience to, if you haven't downloaded the Ayn Rand University app yet, please go ahead and do so. It's available for iOS and for Android in the App Store and the Google Play Store. And if you wanna, if you're from Latin America and you want to be kept updated about what's going on, new content in Spanish, please subscribe to the Ayn Rand Center Latin America's newsletter, which is called Rand Express. If you get that reference from one of Rand's books about the train. And subscribe to the newsletter, and you will get on a weekly basis a lot of information on new content, and also visit their website where you can find a lot of articles translated and more news, and also you will find the links to the social media there. And that way you can get more involved with this objectivist movement that we're growing in Latin America. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today in this celebration. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're excited as I am about this new app and this milestone that we're celebrating. And thanks again.